Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. On this particular program, we're going to talk an awful lot about concept machines and one vehicle that is already in production and will be going into an extended production very soon. Let's start off the list with this, the brand new Mercedes-Benz Maybach 6. This was the Vision 6 concept that we talked about in shows past, and this machine took the official wraps off at the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance. Now we know some of the inner workings. Now, one of the things we knew ahead of time was the sheer fact that this thing is near 20 feet long and the fact that it has gull wing doors, which makes it kind of cool. Now, the vehicle ends up that it's an EV. It has a 550 kilowatt electric engine creating over 700 horsepower. The vehicle will be able to do 0 to 60 jaunts in just under 4 seconds with top speed of over 150 miles an hour. The vehicle actually has 200 miles of range as well, which makes it quite livable. Now, the trick of this is still just somewhat of a flight of fancy when it comes to Mercedes-Benz and Maybach. As far as them actually building this car, I think it's kind of slim to none. But you never know. You may be able to take some parts and pieces off this vehicle that may end up on future Maybachs coming soon. So we'll have to wait and see on those fronts. Another concept machine that we've actually seen before is this vehicle, the BMW 2002 Hommage concept. And we saw this a handful of months ago in Europe, and now it makes its official debut on U.S. shores. One of the biggest changes is this brand new Turbomeister livery that's all over the machine, which does harken back to the old Jägermeister sponsorship that used to be on this vehicle way back in the old 2002's heydays. Now, the biggest thing about this machine is it is very, very production ready. It looks like it's ready for prime time indeed. That is the possibility why BMW has brought this out twice now to really gauge public perception about this vehicle, to have the possibility this thing could reach production. Could be very, very soon that we could know something about that. Another concept machine was shown off at the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance is this machine, the brand new Cadillac Escala. The Escala is somewhat of a flight of fancy as well, because this was supposedly going to be the brand new CT8, which was going to be the top of the tree, the big halo vehicle for the Cadillac brand. But the fact that SUVs and crossovers have been selling at just massive numbers may mean this is the reason why that Cadillac may not bring this vehicle into production. There are some outlets claiming it could go into production, but I know that when the actual launch was made, Johan de Nys, the head of Cadillac, actually kind of hinted that this vehicle wouldn't be an actual production machine. We know a whole lot of nothing about this vehicle, not what powers it or anything like that. The only little tidbit that they actually talked about is that small little L-shaped jewelry right behind the front wheel that actually overlaps the front wing or front fender and the front door itself, where they're claimed it's actually milled out of one solid piece of material and actually somehow folds away into the vehicle when the doors actually open, because of the fact that they're overlapped and there's not a gap there for the door to actually open. It's got to move out of the way, but they didn't show exactly how that was going to work. I think the car looks amazing, so I would really love to see this thing on city streets, but again, the chances may be slim to none on that front. One of the only non-concept machines, even though it certainly looks like a concept machine, the brand new Ford GT. Great news if you were in that queue of trying to get your hands on one of the first 500 units that they were going to build of this machine, that apparently was going to be all they were going to build. Ford has now announced that they are now doubling production of this vehicle from 500 to 1,000, and you can actually reapply, not basically reapply, but you get to update your application coming up in 2018 if you were one of the folks that actually got turned down for the machine, or if you think you want to get in on the action. There was only 6,000 people that tried to sign up for applications for the first go-round of these machines. Ford's actually talking about the sheer fact that they're going to involve the racing program, and heading that almost to the end of the decade is a little bit of the reasoning behind extending the run of these vehicles. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm kind of interested if there's going to be somewhat of a backlash over this deal. I can remember many moons ago when the old Ferrari Enzo first came out, and Ferrari claimed that they were only going to build 400 of them, whatever the number was. And then all of a sudden came out and said they were going to build nearly 700 of them. And it got a lot of the Ferrari faithful really upset about this deal because they thought they were going to have a very low number or a low run as far as production was concerned of this automobile. Now all of a sudden the production has doubled. We're seeing the same situation with the GT. Some of the Ford GT faithful really going to throw up their hands saying, hey, we bought this car hoping there was only going to be 500 of them for the world. So we'll have to wait and see on if that deal actually ends up coming to fruition. And one of the last machines we're going to talk about is the old original Cobra, codename CSX 2000. Now you may remember this from shows past. It had a fun little story. This was the first ever AC Cobra that was ever built by Carroll Shelby and the Ford Motor Company. Now, the trick of this vehicle is, and the fun little story that it has about it, was the sheer fact that this was the only Cobra that they had, and they were taking it to several press events. But Ford was actually lying to the press, telling them they were building these vehicles in massive numbers as they were speaking to those folks when they were letting them drive this vehicle for the first time. The fun thing was that it wasn't the case. This was the only Cobra that they had, and they were actually repainting it and then sending it out to a different press event every other week or so, just to give the illusion that there were several of these going around. The thing is, this vehicle never went into private ownership. Actually, Carroll Shelby owned this till the day he died and then donated it to his foundation. The foundation then auctioned it off at the Monterey Car Week and the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance. At the RM Sotheby's auction, this thing brought a whopping $13.75 million. All of that going to the Carroll Shelby Foundation. So, pretty impressive feat for a car sale like this. But again, this is a one of one. This is the first ever of an icon. So, there's no doubt that it should have brought that kind of funds. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. Don't forget to like us over on the Facebook page. Links down in the show notes. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at any time and get the first dibs on the brand new shows as soon as they come out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again real soon.